Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss the last unit, that is unit 12 of OTHM Level 5 Extended Diploma in Business Management. Uh, this unit is basically about the business startup, about the conception to market. The first assessment criteria is to describe the range of resources required to start a business. So we have different resources that are required to start a business. For example, we have capital investment, we have labor resources, we have physical resources, and we have support systems. Now I will try to explain these resources one by one to you people. The first one is the capital investment, in which we need funds to cover the startup costs, which include equipment, inventory, and operational expenses. Then we have labor resources, which include skilled and unskilled workforce required to perform business operations. Then we have physical resources, in which there are tangible assets, for example, equipment, tools, office space, and technology. And then we have support system, which include external services and networks, for example, legal advice, financial consulting, and mentoring that help in the business development. Now we will move forward toward the next slide. Now we have the second assessment criteria, in which we describe the personal skills and qualities that are required to start a business. So we have different skills for starting the business. For example, leadership management, financial management, problem solving skills, negotiation skills, and project management skills. Now we have the third assessment criteria, in which we describe the legal requirements when starting the business. So we have different legal requirements. The first one is formalized business structure. Then we have operating license. Then we have business insurance, and at last we have register for taxation. Now we will going to discuss this one by one. The first is the formalized business structure, in which we choose and register a legal structure, for example, sole proprietorship, partnership, or company. Then we have the operating license, in which we have to obtain any necessary license or permit that are required to legally run the business. Then we have business insurance, in which we secure the insurance coverage to protect against potential risk and liability. And at last, we have the register for taxation, in which we register our business with tax authorities to comply with tax obligations. Now we will discuss the second learning outcome, in which we will try to understand the sources of support available to a new business. To do this, we have the first assessment criteria, in which we compare sources of financial support. So we have different sources of financial support, for example, savings, friends and family, interest bearing the loans, investment angels, grants, and zero interest loans. Now we will discuss them one by one. The first is the savings, that are our personal funds that we set aside to invest in the business. Then we have friends and family, for example, some financial assistance from personal connection, often with flexible terms. Then we have interest bearing loans, in which we get loans from banks or other financial institutions that accrue the interest. Then we have investment angels, in which there are some private investors who provide capital in exchange for equity or convertible debt. Then we have grant. These are the non-repayable funds provided by the government or organization for specific purposes. Then we have zero interest loan, in which loans are offered without interest, often by profit or non-profit government schemes. Now we have the second assessment criteria, in which we describe the support provided by government. So there are the different support that is provided by the government. The first one is the local government, then we have central government, and then we have employment support. Now we will discuss the support provided by the government one by one. First, there is local government. It may offer different grants, subsidies, or tax incentive to support the local businesses. Then we have central government, which provide national schemes, for example, business grants, low interest loan, and employment support. And at last, we have the employment support schemes. These are the programs that subsidize wages or provide incentives for hiring. Now we have the third assessment criteria, in which we describe support provided by non-government organizations. So we have different support that is provided by the non-government organizations. For example, free training workshops, free business advices, free mentoring, chambers of commerce, professional bodies, and community support. Now we will discuss them one by one. What is free training workshop? These are basically skills development and business management workshop offered by NGOs. Then we have free business advice, that are consultation service for business planning, finance, and strategy. Then we have free mentoring, that is access to experienced business professionals who provide the guidance. And at last, we have the chambers of commerce, which include local business network that offer resources and support. Then we have professional bodies, which include the industry specific organization that provide resources, training, and certification. And at the end, we have the community support, which include local group or initiatives that support the small business with resources and guidance. Now we have the fourth assessment criteria, in which we try to compare the sources of non-financial support. So there are different sources of non-financial support. First, we have banks, then we have chamber of commerce, then we have professional bodies, and at last we have community support. Now we will discuss them one by one. What are the banks? Banks basically provide the advice on financial planning and access to business accounts. Then we have the Chamber of Commerce. It is basically the networking opportunities and advocacy for businesses. Then we have professional bodies which offer training, certification, and industry-specific resources. And at last, we have community support, in which there are some local initiatives that provide practical resources like workplace or mentoring. Now we have the third learning outcome, in which we will try to create a business plan for a new business to gain the stakeholder support. So we have the first assessment criteria, in which we would produce a business plan for a startup business. So there are some steps in the business plan. First, we have to write executive summary. Then we have to do the overview of the industry. Then we have to do the market and competitor analysis. After that, we have to make our sales and marketing plan. Then we have to make our management plan. And after that, we have some our operating plan. And at last, we have some financial plan of our business. So first we have to write executive summary in which we briefly describe the business idea and its goals. We state the purpose and vision of the business. We also outline what our business is offering. We also identify the main segments of the customer that we are targeting. We also summarize the projected revenue and funding requirements. We also state the short-term and long-term goals. Then we have the market and competition analysis. So first we have the target market segmentation. We break down the main customer groups into different segments to target them. And we have different segmentations, for example, demographic segmentation, geographic segmentation, behavioral segmentation, psychographic segmentation, and we break down our customer groups like that. Then we have market needs, in which we identify the needs that our business aims to fulfill. Then we have the competitor analysis in which we list the main competitor and we list their strength and their weaknesses. Then we have the market share in which we estimate the percentage of market that we aim to capture. Then we have competitive advantage in which we explain how our business will differentiate itself from other or from the competitors. Then we have market trends in which we highlight any changes in customer behavior or market conditions. Now we have the sales and marketing plan. First, we have the marketing objective in which we state our marketing goals. Then we have marketing strategy in which we outline the strategies for reaching our targeted audience. Then we have sales strategy in which we explain how you will sell your product or services. Then we have promotional activities in which we list our planned advertising, PR, and social media campaigns. Then we have our pricing strategy in which we describe our approach to setting the prices. Then we have distribution channel in which you detail how your product will reach the customers. After that, we have the management plan, and in management plan, first we have the organizational structure, which shows the company's structure, which includes some key roles. Then we have management team, which introduce the founders and key personals. Then we have responsibilities and roles, which clarify the duties of each team member in the organization. Then we have human resource plan, which outlines the hiring needs and staff development. Then we have advisory board, which mention any advisors or consultant involved. And at last, we have the company culture, which describe the workplace environment that we aim to create. Now we have the operating plan. In operating plan, first we have day-to-day operations, which summarize daily activities that are needed to run the business. Then we have the location and facilities, which describe where the business will operate. Then we have a production process, which outlines how product will manufactured or service delivered. Then we have supplier and partner, which list key supplier and partnership. Then we have technology requirement, which mention any tools or systems that are required. And at last, we have quality control, which explain how you will ensure the high standards. And finally, at last, we have the financial plan. In financial plan, first we have the startup cost, which detail the initial expense for launching the business. Then we have revenue projection, which estimate the income over the first few years. Then we have funding requirement, which indicates how much capital is needed and potential sources. Then we have break-even analysis, which identify when the business is expected to become profitable. And at last, we have the cash flow projection, which forecasts the cash inflows and outflows. And then we have the financial risk, in which we mention the potential financial challenges and how you will mitigate them. Now we have the second assessment criteria, in which we demonstrate the effective communication when seeking stakeholder support for a new business. So now we have different key principle of effective communication. The first one is the clarity. It is very important to make sure that your message is clear and easily understandable by avoiding the jargon and being specific about the business goals. And there must be persuasiveness, and you should use the compelling arguments and data to show the benefits of supporting business. It must be active listening, and you have to pay attention to the stakeholder concerns and feedback, demonstrating that their opinions are valued. There must be tailored messaging. For example, you have to adapt your communication style and content based on the audience, for example, investor, partners, or employees. Then there is transparency, in which you should be open about potential risk and challenges without outlining how you plan to address them. Now, at last, you have the confidence, in which you should present with assurance to build trust and demonstrate your commitment to the business success. Now we have different communication techniques for gaining the support of the stakeholder. So first one is the presentation. We must use the visual aids and data to make a strong case during meetups or pitch sessions. And it is important to have the written proposal. We should provide the detailed documents outlining the business plans, financial plans, and benefits to the stakeholders. There must be one-on-one meetings in which we must engage with key stakeholders individually to address their specific concerns and interest. Then there must be follow-up communication, in which we have to set updates and thank you notes to keep stakeholder informed and maintain relationships. Then there must be feedback loops, in which we have to encourage stakeholders to share their thoughts and incorporate their input to strengthen the business strategy. At last, we must have the demonstration or prototypes, in which we must show a tangible example of how the example of the product or service to illustrate its potential impact. So thank you so much. This is all about the unit 12 of the level 5 extended diploma in business management. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. Thank you.